Hey everyone, my name is Ray and I'm out here on US385. So I'm back in Texas and I started out this morning in Rocky Mountain National Park, and I started the morning before this one in Yellowstone National Park, and the morning before that I was in Rocky Mountain National Park. It's been a lot of miles and a lot of smiles. There's been a lot that I've seen that has just been absolutely beautiful, and there's been a lot that I've seen that has been a lot of sadness as well, in terms of the current state of our wildlife and our ecosystem in general. But, you know, if nothing else, oh wow, and there's a northern harrier that's flying over the field to the right here. That was a treat. I've seen a few more scarce birds, or less sighted birds. And I say less sighted, I just mean that for me. I'm sure a lot of you are fortunate to live in these areas full time and you get to see a lot more than what I get to see. But I got to see some things like golden eagles, magpies, Steller's jays, and this northern harrier just now, a bunch of ravens, and I even saw two snakes, two roadkill snakes on this trip. All the rest of the things I was naming off were still alive. Unfortunately, a lot of people only think about snakes and wish that they were dead, so hey, good for you. I just told you about a couple of snakes I saw that didn't make it. Made me feel a little bit sad. It also made me sad when I saw the coyotes on the side of the road just basically begging, waiting for food. And one of those that I saw doing that was in a national park, and one of them was on a pretty much an open highway. So the animals out there in the world right now are suffering just as much as our people globally are suffering from malnourishment in some cases. And we don't think a lot about these climate change things and how they've impacted our current wildlife, because we're not currently out there driving around in it all day, every day that they possibly can. And also, they didn't focus on those things in the past anyway. Now, I myself have focused on all kinds of wildlife for ever since I can remember. It was one of those things that really came alive in me when I went to Big Bend National Park in 1993. And I got to go there because my dad's company had work field outings, so that, like team builders, where they would enjoy a holiday together. And that was great because that allowed families to meet families and kids to meet kids, and it just really, it was something that also allowed all of us to meet challenges in the wild, in nature. And by challenges, I mean, seeing things that were wild, walking among those wild things, and feeling some kind of a level of confidence that we seldom feel anymore for whatever reason. So for me, I got out into wildlife for several days in a row, mostly because that's where I wanted to enjoy my holiday, and also because I wanted to have confidence when I put together what it was that I was presenting. And those kind of experiences are something that you cannot always experience with someone else who's not already calm. I can go ahead and, venture to say that most of us who are not calm feel a little bit out of place or agitated when we're out in the wild, especially without somebody who can tell you what the heck's going on when you encounter what you encounter. Those kind of things are gained from experience and insight that used to be passed down from fathers to sons. in a prior generation. In today's generations, fathers of sons aren't even really the fathers of the sons that they're in the households of in many cases. And I don't mean that with any kind of disrespect. What I mean is that sometimes the father is more interested in the mother than the son that's in the household. And because of this, they overlook some of the information that's being shared up the chain. And I'm talking about this from both direct and indirect experience on a multitude of levels across the spectrum of family circumstances that you could possibly imagine me to have ever had. So being said, when it comes down to it, the main thing that I'm an advocate for is for wildlife and nature. And in order for us to help with wildlife and nature, we ourselves need to be well. And in a lot of cases, for whatever reason, when I suggest that we might not be well due to the things that we have been eating regularly without question, when I suggest that, it seems to turn off a lot of people to hearing any of the other insight that I might be sharing. And it also comes across as demeaning or off-putting, or as one cousin of mine called me, sexist. Now, I don't really understand
Prepare to turn right in half a mile.
how else to do it except for to bring up old stuff and suggest that, hey, these are examples that I'm helping to bring to light so that we can see that some of our judgment is expressed directly and indirectly in passive and not so passive ways. But many of our responses are triggered
feet, turn right onto US385.
by things as simple as a meme. And when you have this kind of possibility of becoming so agitated by a meme that
Now,
you
turn
cannot
right.
discuss something with someone, for an example, any kind of semblance of discussion that has to do with religion or politics, then perhaps it's time to look back at our fathers and ask them, hey, maybe all of these children who are saying that there's something wrong with society, and some of it might have to do with the way that we're consuming at an alarming rate in ways that are detrimental to our health. And oh, by the way, those anti-statins you're taking and continue to take are burdening the system, possibly unnecessarily. Have you ever asked about the numbers needed to treat to figure out if that medicine is actually helping you? All these questions are things that I have that go round and round in my head. And the only way I can think to ask them is with a big storyline of a question that leads up to what the heck it is that Ray is actually talking about. Because
Drive 46
no
miles.
matter how simply I put it, hey, let's eat plant-based starting now to regain our mental acuity and our focus and our agility and our health and our youth and our vitality and our vigor. No matter how many ways I'll say that as simply as I can, that's the answer to trying to figure out how to track any kind of a thought stream with any amount of focus. When I try to say, hey, what we're eating is absolutely changing the way that we're thinking about one another, and when I say that I'm an example, if you remember me, if you've ever met me in person, you probably know that I'm pretty cool to hang out with. I'm pretty flexible. There's not a lot that I wouldn't do or go to or eat or whatever. And yet, for whatever reason, for me to say, hey, while we're at it, let's just be a little bit more grateful. For whatever reason, when I tie that together with our overall global climactic change that's occurring, and it's hard to ignore it. unless you're just not a part of that system, which most of us are not. So I'm not saying you're ignorant or that you're ignoring anything. I'm saying you're just not exposed to it. But you know me. You've met me. I'm a pretty level-headed guy. I'm pretty intelligent. I'm able to multitask. And I get things done in no matter what line of business I've been in. So, if I were talking with you in person and just asking, hey, do you think it's weird that I only saw 7 birds in Yellowstone? I was able to ID 2 of them. And there were 4 that were in a little group flying across the road. And there was one other one that was just hanging out. You know, do you think that's weird? If you talk to me 2 to 5 years ago, 10 years ago, and asked me what I saw during this time frame in Yellowstone, it was magnificent, and it still is. But my God, the amazing abundance of life that's there is and was unparalleled. And now, for some reason, it's not uncommon to see wildlife begging for food because it's hungry. A lot of the food that it used to eat is no longer there. And we're not privy to these things because it's not something that our media wants to broadcast. And I understand that probably would cause panic if it was said in a way that was not carefully thought out. Now, for those who are listening to this and have any kind of a hint of panic when they think about what if what that guy Ray is saying is true. You know, I don't know a whole lot of people that spend the night out in the forest once in a while, let alone many times. What if what he's saying is actually true? What if what all the people who are talking about climate change, no matter what you call it, global warming, climate crisis, temperature shift, whatever you want to call it, it still has zero to do with the next presidential election. It has everything to do with what we, the people, are doing collectively every single day. Sometimes 3 times per day or more. And I'm not saying this in such a, I don't know what the word would be, such a powerful way without any consideration. I'm saying it in a powerful way because we don't think about the power that we're giving up every time we take away our own health. And we take away from our own health continuously by eating things that are made of substandard qualities, from things that we are programmed from a young age to become addicted to. Now, I've had the experience of hanging out with families with toddlers, and in a lot of cases, those toddlers only enjoyed having natural foods. They didn't like the sugary substances. They weren't like me. For some reason, I absolutely loved, and still do, the sugary substances. And I don't think it's some reason by coincidence. It was some reason because that's what I ate all the time. That's basically what I grew up on. I became addicted to it. There were so many birthdays and so many holidays and sometimes more than once per month. So we're continuously feasting and coming up with new reasons to feast over and over and over and over again. Those kind of things are things that, while we're in the forest looking at how little we can get by with, are what bring us back to neutral. And we start to recognize, hey, maybe this next Christmas, this next Thanksgiving, maybe this is the time when I'm going to change my habits, because the world is asking for everyone to chip in and help, and only the US, the us, are the ones that keep sitting back in our easy chairs and debating these things and not teaming up with our community members who are saying, hey, we've got loads of new information for you. And it does not come with a party that divides anything. It just comes with pure, invaluable truth. You cannot hide the truth. You can't. You can talk around it and dance around it and do everything you want to try and repackage it. But if it's not nutritious, it's not nutritious. What you are consuming on a daily basis might be affecting your ability to hear what someone is saying, even when they're saying, hey, I'm very concerned with your health right now. Your health, whoever it is that's listening to this right now, I'm very concerned with your health. Why? Because I had terrible health not too long ago. I did. And then I changed what I was eating. I went plant-based. And many of us keep hearing me say that and questioning me about it and not moving forward with any kind of action. It doesn't matter how much you talk, action is required. It's faith plus action. If you have faith that eating a plant-based meal is beneficial to the environment, to the ecosystems around you, and also to the sentient beings that we've overlooked for a long time in our society as something that should also have a vote in this matter, then do not forget, every dollar you spend is a vote. Every dollar you spend on every single choice that you take home for yourself and or your loved ones is a choice. My family upbringing is such that I came up with an amount of violence in my past. So the way that I speak may be a little bit different from the way that you speak. And the way that I call it might be a little bit more cut and dry than some people might call it. All I'm trying to do is help somebody who's out there who wants to regain control of their own health and their own circumstances, to look at their hands and understand that everything that passes into their selves, everything, attitude, everything, coming from every possible channel is something that makes an impact and helps you to resonate in a similar fashion. So, when you watch certain programming, do not forget it's called programming. Anyway, I'm out here on US385. I'm still alive. And I will arrive sometime before 5. I mean, seriously, I think I'll be in San Antonio by about, 2 or 3 in the morning. I'm not sure. No matter what time I arrive, wherever I'm getting to, no matter what time this message arrives, wherever it's getting to, please do not forget, most of what passes into you, into your being, into your ears, etc., is coming in via our own choices. And there are a lot of things that we can side with, but those things may not side with us when the time comes. So, best thing is to side with yourself first. Understand that taking care of ourselves is the beginning of taking care of anyone else in our family, in our love, circles of life, etc. So to me, if I were in charge, I would only suggest one thing. Just be very mindful of the quality of the foods that you're eating. We are what we eat, and our health is our wealth. Peace.